Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. I am your host, Chuck Manity. And in today's episode, we are going to be covering Andor Season 2. So as usual, what we'll do is just give a brief overview of what is going on in Season 2, cast, etc. And then we will watch the trailer and I will give my thoughts after the fact. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So Andor, also known as Star Wars Andor, and Andor, a Star Wars story, for its second season, is an American science fiction television series created by Tony Gilroy for the streaming service Disney+. It is part of the Star Wars franchise and a prequel to the film Rogue One, which came out in 2016, which in turn is a prequel to the original Star Wars film 1977. As you can see, this is a running theme: prequels, sequels, midquels, blah blah blah. Anyway, the series follows thief turned rebel spy Cassian Andor during the 5 years that led to the events of the two films, exploring how he becomes radicalized against the Galactic Empire and how the wider Rebel Alliance is formed. So, Andor premiered on September 21st, 2022. That's obviously Season 1, with the first 3 episodes on the first season. The other 9 episodes of the season were released weekly through November 23rd. The first season received critical acclaim and has been called the most complex, mature story in Star Wars, as well as several accolades. It was nominated for 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Drama Series. The second and final season is scheduled to premiere April 22nd, 2025, so that is little less than a month away, with 3 episodes releasing weekly until May 13th. So the basic premise is beginning 5 years before the events of Rogue One 2016 and A New Hope 1977. The series employs an ensemble cast of characters to show how a rebellion alliance is forming in opposition to the Galactic Empire. One of these characters is Cassian Andor, a thief who becomes a revolutionary and eventually joins the rebellion. So, just briefly, the cast is Diego Luna, so that is the main person in the story. Then we have Kyle Sola, that is the second person, and third out of the 6 that I want to speak about is Adria Arjona. So, Father of the Bride, Hitman, Blink Twice, might recognize that person from there, Pacific Rim Uprising. And then we have Stellan Skarsgård. You might actually remember him from Avengers. He was the scientist in the first Avengers movie that got blasted, technically speaking, on the roof of Stark Tower. And then there is Fiona Shaw. You might remember from Hedda Gabler, Happy Days, and the Harry Potter series as well. So you might remember from that. And then there is Forrest Whitaker, who is a massive star from long ago. Good Morning Vietnam, Bird, Crying Game, Phenomenon, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, Rogue One, Black Panther, he's been in a bunch of different things, so he's a very, very prominent actor. However, before I give my thoughts on the trailer, let's actually watch said trailer. So without any further ado, here is the trailer for Andor Season 2.
I came with you to be part of something. The Empire cannot win. It's a different kind of mission. If it goes up in flames, it will burn very brightly.
But if I'm giving up everything, I want to win. We have to. We must stand together. We will be crushed.
Resistance is absurd.
It's a weapon. They're building a weapon. The monster will come for us all.
Revolution is not for the saying. You're right here, and you're ready to fight.
There's a future here for those who dare.
Welcome to the rebellion.
And that was the trailer for Andor Season 2. So, not really much to talk about. However, I do want to speak about this. So, Andor was not exactly what you'd call popular when it launched. However, it was like like it came out on weekly basis or whatever the case is, and they launched it in different parts and etc. So every time they released something new, the viewing went up, which is not really like, for example, if you're looking at something like Agatha or maybe Rings of Power, the initial viewing was really good and then it started progressively going down. So I think, this is my personal opinion, why this got greenlit for a season 2 is because when they brought out season 1 and they released the episode, the viewing or the viewership went up in episodes. So it didn't tank, it didn't like go, okay, cool, there's 100,000 people watching, next episode there's 80, 70, and it just kept going lower. No. So every time that there was a new episode that came out, it progressively went up, and I honestly think that's the only reason why this got greenlit for season 2. However, I think that Andor is one of those Star Wars stories. Look, I'm not a huge fan of Acolyte, I'll just say that off the bat. I'm not a huge fan of Ahsoka, but Andor was really actually very good, and not a lot of people watched it because it just seems like not a lot of people have a big stake in Star Wars as they used to anymore. It's maybe because of the stories kind of dwindling into a whole bunch of things that people don't like, whatever the case is, neither here nor there. However, Mandalorian Season 1, 2, great. Andor Season 1 was really good, but not a lot of people watched it. However, like I said, it went up and up and up in the viewership as it went along. So it's kind of like a slow burn where people can eventually, start watching it, and etc. Like I said, the trailer looks to be very sort of all over the place. There's nothing really I can pick apart from the trailer. It just seems to be like a very big dramatic thing that's happening. There's nothing that you can go, okay, cool, let's pick this piece apart, and whatever the case is, for the most part. Forrest Whitaker being right at the end of said trailer is fun to see. and you know, all the characters that you know and love from Andor season 1, like you pick them out in those things. So there's nothing really that I can say, okay, cool, like this is potentially where it could go, blah blah blah, etc. However, the first season of Andor was really good, and I think that maybe the second season might not disappoint. So please check it out. Let me know what you thought of the trailer in the comments below, and please show us some love by liking, sharing and subscribing. But that is it for today's episode of the Everything Podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.